An intriguing question persists in the halls of theology and historical speculation. Did intelligent beings walk the earth before Adam and Eve? Surprisingly, a careful reading suggests the Bible may contain subtle clues about this enigmatic existence. Many assume the biblical narrative begins with an absolute void, followed directly by the creation of the first man and woman in Genesis 1:26. However, this linear view may be an oversimplification. The very structure of Genesis presents chronological complexities that raise questions about what, or who, might have filled the earlier ages. What if the keys to unlocking this pre-Adamic world were hidden in often overlooked ancient texts? Passages that speak of an earth formless and void, Genesis 1:2, after an already established beginning, or the mysterious references to the sons of God who intermarried with the daughters of men, Genesis 6:1-4, serve as beacons pointing to a much deeper forgotten past. What happened during those lost ages and what stories were silenced by time? The search for these answers begins when we look beyond the surface of the sacred text. To explain the potential for a world before Adam, one of the most widely discussed interpretations is the gap theory. This view posits a dramatic cataclysm in the gap between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2. It suggests that the original, perfect creation described in verse 1 was later judged and laid waste, resulting in the formless and void earth we encounter in verse 2, which God then restored over the 6 days. This theory provides a potential framework for a vast, forgotten pre-Adamic history, complete with its own inhabitants and a subsequent fall. A closer look at the original Hebrew language fuels this speculation. The phrase formless and void translates the words tohu and bohu. While they can indeed describe a state of primordial emptiness, in other biblical contexts, like Jeremiah 4:23, they are used to describe the desolate ruins of a judged civilization. This linguistic nuance raises a compelling question. Does tohu wa bohu describe a blank canvas, or the chaotic debris of a previous world order that had fallen into ruin? Beyond the gap theory, other less-known interpretations and ancient Jewish commentaries add further layers of mystery. Some texts allude to cycles of creation and destruction, speaking of previous worlds, olamot rishonim, built and brought to nothing by God before our own. These ancient sources, often overlooked in mainstream reading, challenge a purely linear timeline and open the door to a cosmos filled with deep, recurring cycles of life, judgment, and renewal long before Adam. The case for a pre-Adamic world extends beyond the first book of the Bible, finding intriguing support in the poetic and prophetic texts. In the book of Job, cryptic passages seem to allude to ancient cataclysms and beings from a forgotten past. Verses like Job 26:5, which speaks of the dead things formed from under the waters, and Job 9:5, which references God's fury that overturns the mountains in his anger, are interpreted by some as glimpses of a primordial judgment that reshaped the world long before human history as we know it. Perhaps the most striking parallel is found in Jeremiah 4:23-26. The prophet describes a vision of the earth as formless and void, using the same Hebrew words tohu and bohu as Genesis 1:2, with the heavens without light and all cities broken down. While often viewed as a future prophecy of judgment, a compelling alternative interpretation suggests Jeremiah is using the imagery of a past cosmic desolation, the very state described in Genesis 1:2, as a template for divine wrath. This implies that the formless and void earth was itself the result of a prior catastrophic judgment. Finally, the enigmatic Nephilim of Genesis 6 fuel the debate. Described as the giants or mighty men of old, their sudden appearance raises a critical question. Are they solely the offspring of the sons of God and human women? Or could they be echoes or even remnants of a previous intelligent race that coexisted with or was part of that pre-Adamic order? Their existence stands as a biblical mystery that challenges a simple reading of human origins and points to a far more complex ancient world. Acknowledging a pre-Adamic world profoundly recontextualizes our understanding of biblical time and divine purpose. It expands the scope of God's creation from a single, recent event to a potentially vast cosmic narrative, suggesting that God's creative and redemptive plans operate on a scale far grander than humanity's brief history. This perspective naturally raises theological questions. Does it diminish Adam's role or the doctrine of the fall? On the contrary, it can clarify them. Adam remains the federal head and progenitor of this current human age, And the fall explains the unique sin nature and need for redemption that defines humanity now. This view does not contradict core doctrine, but rather sets it within a more majestic and mysterious creation. Ultimately, this invites a deeper engagement with Scripture. It encourages moving beyond a surface-level reading to explore the hidden layers, linguistic nuances, and intertextual connections that suggest a richer, more complex history. It is an invitation to approach the Bible with both faith and a fearless inquisitiveness, trusting that its depths reveal more of the majesty and mystery of the Creator. It is crucial to acknowledge that these are interpretive theories, not established dogma. Yet for the curious believer, they are worthy of serious contemplation and study. This perspective inevitably prompts us to re-examine other fields of inquiry. How might a pre-Adamic past reshape our understanding of mysterious archaeological finds, anomalous human history, or even modern phenomena that challenge conventional timelines? We want to hear from you. This is the beginning of a conversation, not the end. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What scripture passages on this topic stand out to you? What are your own unanswered questions about the earliest, most mysterious chapters of Genesis? And it is with this spirit of seeking deeper truths and a faith that translates into action that we invite you to become part of our community here on the Sacred Manual channel. We believe that knowledge should move us toward a greater purpose. That's why we have a commitment that goes beyond content. Half of all revenue generated by our videos will be donated directly to people in situations of social vulnerability. This channel is not just a space for theological discussion. It is a tool for us to live out and practice the true gospel of Jesus Christ. For this project to grow and reach its full potential, your participation is essential. Share our content. Every like, every subscription, and especially every share, doesn't just help spread knowledge, but actually transforms that knowledge into concrete help for those who need it most. By sharing, you reach thousands of people who, like us, carry in their hearts the same feeling of compassion and a genuine desire to make a difference in the world. Together, we can prove that the most powerful message is not just the one that is heard, but the one that is practiced. Because the true gospel is not a speech, it is an outstretched hand. It is love in motion, and it is only complete when we reach our neighbor.